What's up guys, I'm Blacklist Dan and welcome back to my channel. In today's episode, we're going to be carrying on with Sonny's GTi Golf from the game Need for Speed Most Wanted. In this video, I'm going to be tackling the front and rear arches and the side skirt. I'm going to be filling those in and smoothing them out. And also we're going to be starting the build process on the rear bumper as well. Hopefully everything goes to plan. Let's get started. First things first, I'm going to be using the masking tape to mask this bumper up and the fender, mainly because the expanding foam is going to make my life a living hell if I don't. So we're going to get that on straight away, and it's as easy as this. So now that's done, we can start building a structure for the expanding foam to sit in. I'm going to be using cardboard and little scrap pieces of metal that are lying around just so I can keep it supported, and then we can start shaping it. Luckily enough, it don't need that much expanding foam on this rear bumper, so it's mainly the bottom bit here that needs it. So this from here has to be sculpted upwards into here, and I'm pretty sure this part of what I presume is a diffuser, this line here needs to be dropped down to about there because there's a cutout that goes along here. And there's probably one other thing you've noticed, I've only masked up to this part of the bumper. Geese. So I've only masked up to this part of the bumper, and that's because I'm only going to be building this side of it. And the idea behind that is once I've built this half of the car, I'm then going to get someone in that does 3D scanning, and then I'm going to get them to print it as well. So I only have to build half of this body kit, and then the 3D scanners that are coming out, they can then replicate the other half and then basically build a full body kit really from my half that I have built. So that's the plan with it, and that's what we're going with. And plus it saves a lot of time as well if I'm only building half of the body kit, so I haven't got to go around the other side and do the rest. So we're gonna get this little structure thing built right now. Now that I've made this thing, I can start filling it with expanding foam. But you've probably noticed one thing, I haven't gone all the way to the top of the masking tape with the cardboard. And the reason I've done that is because someone left in the comment section on my last video a little tip, and they basically told me to use a thing called plaster of Paris, and it's what people use to sculpt statues with, and you can sort of sculpt it while it's still wet. I'm just going to use this for the big bits down the bottom, then I'm going to test that plaster of Paris and see if it is any good for this sort of stuff, because I was recommended to use it for the rest of the body kit as well. But I'm going to get that on order and we're going to give that a go. But for now, I'm just going to expand and foam it, and we're going to go from there. So it's been a couple of days now since I've expanding foamed it, and as you can see, it's fully gone off. So I'm going to take my little knife and I'm going to start sculpting it out. But to get the exact shape of Sonny's GTi bumper, I'm going to be looking at the pictures that I've got on my phone so that I know everything's going to be perfect when I'm sculpting it. And also, if you look here, you can see that I've taped over this part as well, and there's expanding foam behind it. So the trick behind that is that when I put the show plates on this car, which are like the Need for Speed Most Wanted show plates, they're going to fit perfectly in this gap. But because this is a UK spec car, the number plate holder is about this long, and if you're using an American plate, as you probably all know, it's going to be about this big. So I'm having to expand and foam this part here, and I'm going to cut it down and make it the perfect shape for a American number plate. So to be fair, I can start whipping this tape off now anyway, and we can have a look at how this tumour looks. Balls myself up doing that. So the next step is to replicate this part of the bumper. I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's a little bit of a lip thing that comes up there. I've got to replicate that and also build the diffuser. There's a lot of stuff to do, but this is probably the easiest part besides the arches, so hopefully we should get through this pretty quick. So I'm just going to take my time with this now and make sure that everything's sculpted perfectly. only because I don't want to keep expanding foaming and going back over myself. So I'm going to try and get this done in one go. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to grab the saw for this part. Better. So like I said, I'm going to have to use the saw for this part. You'll see why in just a sec. It's because if you look just here, you can see that the arch sort of swoops in and the back of the tyre there is just exposed. Whereas at the moment, if you look at that, you can't see the tyre. So I'm going to have to sort of bring it in at a bit of an angle. So it's going to come in at an angle sort of like about there. That's the angle it's going to come at, just so you can see the rear part of the tyre. And we're going to go from there really and just keep sculpting it as we go along. I'm going to treat this probably the same way as I'd treat normal plaster, but the ratio for this is 70% water and 100% plaster. So I'm going to pour the water into this bucket and then add the plaster as I go along. And I'm going to use my little whisk to make sure there's no hard or lumpy bits in there and it's all smoothed out properly. So I'm going to start pouring the water in and then I'm going to add the plaster. So let's see how it goes. I've got no measuring cups, so this is all by eye. And well, to be fair, I'm not building the Colosseum of Rome, am I? It doesn't really matter what the ratio is in my opinion because it's just going on the body kit. It doesn't matter too much. Get in the bowl. Now that's all mixed up, I'm going to start applying it to the fenders, the side skirt, and maybe the front bumper as well. We're going to see how it goes because it's the first time using this stuff, and hopefully everything goes to plan. Okay, so all I'm going to do, I'm going to apply this gunk straight onto here, like so. And before you say anything, no, that's not a spreader, that is a piece of metal that I found, but it works just as well. Look at that, lovely. Okay, after spending quite a while doing it the wrong way, I've just found a way that works really well. So, this is the wrong way. We do not do it like this anymore. In fact, we do it like this. You see how that is a lot smoother. I haven't really finished with it yet, but I've discovered that when you apply the stuff, if you've got like a wet hand as well, and then just smooth it off, whereas I was trying to treat it sort of like how I'd treat body filler, and it's not the same stuff, I've quickly figured out. So this is wrong. I'm going to sand all of that back down and then do it properly like this. So the whole of the kit will be done like that. So I'm glad I figured it out now instead of another hour or so of doing it the wrong way. And also this stuff goes off so quick. I think I've gone a little bit too keen with a big bucket like that. I don't think I need that. Again, I'm treating it like it's normal plaster. This stuff is not normal plaster, let me tell you. So I'm probably going to use a smaller tub and just apply it in smaller places and have a separate tub as well with water in it so I can smooth it out like this. That's the plan, and that's what we're going with. I'm going to start taking this bit off. This is how far I've got with it so far. So as you can see, all of that is still not dried off. I thought it was dry, but it's not. Okay, I'm not going to touch it again. But when I applied the plaster to it and then used a wet hand and then smoothed it off, it's give a much better effect than it would have if I was to use filler. So I'm very impressed with how it is at the moment. Obviously it's going to take a while to dry off, and it's definitely going to need going over again and again and again, but it's much quicker than filler and it's a lot easier to work with than filler. I'm going to be carrying on with this again tomorrow because I've got to go to work. So by the time I come back to it, that should be dry and we can start correcting my my first attempt with it because it's a bit wrong. So let's fast forward for tomorrow. So it's the next day now, and as you can see, I've tried my best to smooth it off, but I still haven't really done that good of a job. But we're going to be rectifying that pretty shortly. And same with here, I've had to dig out these two little pieces as it was really fragile. So all of this is going to be sorted right now. And hopefully we can get most of this body kit done today, with a little bit of luck, of course. So I'm going to be mixing up some more plaster, but not as much, because I figured out that if I mix up too much, it goes off too quick. So I'm using little tubs now, and then I'm doing it by hand as well. So once I finished smoothing this out, I looked at the pictures of Sonny'S GTi and I noticed something. I'd done the side skirts slightly wrong, and yeah, I got a little bit carried away, as you can see, so I started chopping things up. So I'm gonna have to go back over all of this with the plaster, but I'm not gonna include that because you don't wanna see it twice, do you? No one does really. I don't wanna see it twice, but I'm having to do it twice. So we'll skip to a point where that's done. For now, I'm going to tidy this up, and then I'm going to start bulking the bottom of the bumper and the side skirt out, so I can then ping the laser level across it again and then cut it properly this time, because I've done it wrong last time. I swear these videos are just about me doing stuff wrong, so we're going to start doing things right now. Like I've just said, I am going to have to do the bottoms of the side skirt and the bumpers first, so when I lower the car down then, I can then determine how far I can trim this back, because at the moment when I stood from this angle, I noticed that how the wheel is positioned, it's sticking too far into this, which tells me that there's too much plaster on this section. So once it's all lowered down, I can then sculpt it perfectly to how the wheel sits. And just like that, the side skirt is now done, and the bottoms are done as well. So if I come over here really quick, excuse the mess, press the laser level, ka-chow. You can see now that all it needs is trimming along the bottom. So all I have to do is cut along this laser level line, and that goes for there as well, and around that part. But once Nathan comes and moves that, we can then work on the front of it. But for now, we're gonna tackle the back. So I'm going to start putting some plaster on here again and just basically bulking all of this out. I'm probably going to leave this small little section here because there is a few details that need to be carved into it, and for now I'm not sure how to do it. So I'm just going to concentrate on this patch along here. Okay, so the rear bumper, I ballsed it up a little bit, and yeah, it looks like this. I foamed it. So the problem I was having when I was putting that plaster on, it was cracking all along the top and the bottom. I think it's because it was wet going directly over paint, and yeah, it kind of ruined it. So I've expanding foamed it, and then I'm gonna just shave it off nicely, and then I can apply the plaster over the top of it, and that should prevent it from cracking. Off camera, I've cut the bottoms of the side skirt and the arches, and they're good to go as well. So I'm just gonna wait for this to dry, and then we're gonna lower the car down, and then we can work on it off the floor. So that little section is expanding foam now, and I can go over it with filler. I've decided to go over it with filler just because it's a little bit more sturdy, and it's quite shallow as well. And you've probably noticed one other thing. The Golf is in a completely different place. The surroundings are different. That's because I've spent the last 3 months doing other things and getting sidetracked, and I shouldn't have. I should have been doing the videos for you guys, but I got a bit sidetracked. So I've built a spray booth and I've been doing other bits and bobs, but now I'm dedicating my time fully to the Golf to get this thing finished because I want it done for this year. We're now in August, so yeah, the last 3 months I've not touched this car, and I'm so sorry. But we're gonna get straight back into it, and I'm gonna start with filling this rear bumper, and I'm gonna get this thing finished. Like candy canes, it makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame. Yeah. Okay, so while I'm waiting for this filler to go off, I'm going to be starting the cutout for along here. And if you look at the picture I've got, I'll zoom in on it, you've got this little cutout that goes all the way along. So I'm basically going to mimic that. So I've measured it out a little bit here. You can see a little mark there, and there's a faint black line that goes across there. So I'm going to have to cut all of that out. You've probably noticed this has been removed as well, and that's because the more I looked at the picture, the more I could see there's actually grooves along the side, but it depends on the pictures when I have a look at them. From some angles you can't see it, and from other angles you can. So in this one you can clearly see that there is a mark along there, so that's why I've cut it all back out. So that was a waste of time, that was, but we're on the right course again now. So I'm going to get all of this measured out and then cut. Hopefully by the time I've done that, this will be dry and I can start shaving all that down, and we're actually getting somewhere again. Okay, so as you can see, this hole is now cut out. I've only come to just past the halfway point for obvious reasons, and now I can start doing the diffuser. So I'm going to get it marked out straight away. There's a black line just there, it's pretty faint, but I'm going to put the laser level across there so I know where to start cutting, and then we're going to start chopping away this foam underneath so we can start making the shape of the diffuser. Also, there's a little vent that needs to go here somewhere. We're going to get that marked up as well, and we're going to start cutting it out. And then this is pretty much ready to be smoothed off, and then we can tackle the front bumper. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like Alright, I've just done my first skim of filler on there just to get that nice pointy shape, and I'm going to go over it again now. So let's see how it looks once it's done. And this is how it looks now. So you can probably see I've got a little bit carried away with the filler, and I've built out this section of the bumper. It's pretty good in comparison to the pictures. I can't really see any faults with it, and you can probably see this line as well. I have gone over it once already, but I've put another pen marker over the top of it so I can get it extra sharp. And the next thing we're going to be focusing on is this section of the bumper. Basically, these three sections all need building out, dead in line with each other. The pictures that I've seen, I'm going to put one of them just here for you. It basically shows that the back bumper is very flat, but once it gets down to this bottom piece, it tucks right under where the diffuser is. So I'm going to waste no time. We're going to get these all built out in line with each other, and then we can tackle that diffuser. Let's do it. This section of the bumper is looking pretty good now. As you can see, it's very flat at the back of it, going all the way down it, and that's what I was trying to achieve. For now, what we're going to do, we're going to try and tidy this up because there's a few little holes here and there that need shaping up properly, and I just kind of want to get it all smooth and looking half decent. You can probably see these lines along here, and that's basically the filler, so that will all need blending in properly. Where you've got these like thicker lines, that's pretty much where the filler is blending in, so that's very flat there. But these smaller little shallow lines, that's where the filler, it's stepped a little bit, so I might have to just go back over that and smooth it all out properly. But I'm not going to be doing that today. That's going to be once I've done the rest of the body kit, so I can come back to that at a different point. For now, what I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to be going around these and filling them out and making it all look sharp and crisp. We're almost there. I've finished sanding this section of the bumper down now. You can see it's very level because that laser line there just touches the top of this ridge, which is exactly what I was going for. I did try using the long block sander to get in there, but as you can see, it doesn't want to fit. So I used a piece of wood that I found lying around in here, and it's give the exact same effect. There's no difference. And in these corners, you can see I've rounded these off. I basically just used a little foam pad that came with one of the sets that I brought, and it eliminates any deviations in the corners. I know that both of these corners are mirrored perfectly to each other now because I've been using that same shape that's on this foam pad just to get in there and shape it. So now I've done this section, I can start smoothing the rest of it. Okay, so I've finished sharpening these lines. There is still a little bit more to do with it, but for now, we're not going to do that. We're going to tackle this diffuser. There is another skim of filler that needs to go over the top of it, and then we can start sanding it down properly. So we're going to get stuck into that straight away.
I've seen a lot of people who don't know what work is. I've seen a lot of people who don't know what thirst is. I've had a taste of evil and tried to cure the sickness, but I just keep my head down and focus on the facts. I'm setting down gravel while you just follow the path. I'll lead them into battle while you're just too scared to act. I'll leave the knife right in my back. So I'll keep hustling, you keep struggling. Bitch, I'm humbling, keep mumbling. I'll keep doubling, you keep bluffing. You've got nothing, I'll keep hustling.
Okay, so the next step is to take this little set square and then go underneath it and find the shallowest point from here to the inside of the diffuser here, which is about 26 millimeters to be precise. So all I'm going to do is go along and just mark out where the 26 millimeter mark is. And then once I've gone all the way along there and I've drew a line across, I'm then going to bulk it out with more filler, and that'll give me the perfect gap between here and the diffuser. And then all I have to do then is smooth it in, and then we're good to go. So let's do it. While I was waiting for the filler to dry off down there, I decided to try and sharpen up these lines a little bit more. As you can see, the detail's looking pretty good on it now. Same with this, I've tried to sharpen these the best I can, but I'm going to try and get those sharp lines in the next video. So for now, I've just got the initial shape of it, but it's not looking too bad in all fairness in comparison to the pictures. Do you know what? I'll even put a picture right here for you, just so you can see the comparison of the two. So yeah, it's not looking too bad. So all we need to do now is just sand this down and we are good to go. So let's do it. Here we have it, guys. Here's the finished product for today. Look, I know there is still so much more to do with that bumper, but that's all we have time for in this episode. In the next episode, however, we are going to be doing the entire body kit, hopefully getting it to a finished stage. That's including this front bumper as well. I mean, look at the state of that. There's so much to do with it. But if you guys have enjoyed this video, please like and please subscribe. It means a lot because it helps the channel grow as well. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.